Hello, I'm BJ Arnett, and this is BJA Today. My guest today is one that I'm really excited to interview because his story is thick, vast, and you're going to get the whole thing today. I want you to welcome, relax and welcome, Dhaba Wayessa. I want you to say thank you for being here because that's what I have to say. Thank you for being here. It is a pleasure to have you. I think I know you, but Dhaba, I was reading your background and I actually got nervous. I've been doing this like forever, but I actually got nervous. This is a friend, this is a brother in Christ, and your story is thick, it's meaty. Why would a man with such a tremendous background, with such an incredible walk, want to tell the world that Ethiopia exists with filmmakers that are emerging to do great things? Why? Why now, especially?
It's very, very important, and actually, it came from this. This motivation came from my background, and I came from the largest population in Ethiopia, the Oromo, which is 40% of the total population, and given the fact that I was the first playwright and novelist in the history of the people, and the language was so suppressed for a long time, I know what it means and how not telling a story of a person, a people, hearts, how much is really complicate the life of many. So I said that this story should be told. This is the story of Oromo, is the story of Ethiopia, and we're the largest population, and also this multicultural country should tell its story, and no one can tell unless the people who live in that country tell this story, and no one can tell the truth, the inside of Ethiopia, the soul of Ethiopia, unless the people in Ethiopia
tell it. There is a backstory, which is your story, that is at some points, at many points, very painful, especially in your early years, that gives a real understanding as to the man you are today. Students at Howard University look at you and say, "Professor, doctor," but do they know your walk, what you've been through? You were incarcerated. What we take as simply a right here in the United States wasn't a right for you. Let's start back at the beginning. Tell the story of why you were incarcerated.
I was, it's all it's in Ethiopia. The thing is, my story is inbuilt in the story of my people.
Yes.
And I was the only person to go to college from my village, even to go to school. And I don't even know how I was inspired, to write a story. I didn't even think that I could write a story at all. I just found myself in it when I started reading, not in my language, but in the national language in America. And then all of a sudden, this idea came to me, and I started writing for radio. And then all of a sudden, just fast forward, I started writing stage play. Mm-hmm. And my stage play was the first stage play in the history of the people. I was the only person to write in Oromo, and that was a shock in the country at that time.
But why was that? And again, I take it for granted. You had the education that I had in the United States.
Right.
From first grade to college.
Right.
You went straight through?
Yeah.
And then you began to write, and you're the first person to be a playwright in your village?
In the country, in the history of the people, in 40% of Ethiopian population, which is Oromo people. And in that language, I was the first stage play writer whom stage play was produced at National Theatre in Ethiopia.
So that should have been celebrated.
Actually, yes, supposed to be. But, because of, the politics of domination on the people, my writing a stage play in Oromo was a shock. In Oromo stage play at National Theatre, that was crazy. That was the first perception. Even leave alone from the government, even the people in the city was, oh, they just look at me like this. Oh, when I pass by, they just point at me as just maybe some crazy who writes in Oromo. And at that time, it was a challenge, and also the Oromos were moved by seeing this stage play for the first time in their own language. It was a mixed feeling, like in Oromo, it's a jubilation, but for other people, it's a kind of weird, crazy thing, to write in Oromo language.
But why an arrest?
Because it was suppressed for a long time. Oromo language was not language of education. It was not language of stage play. It was not language of a book. And children should learn Amharic to get education. There is no way that they go to school. That was the first time people start writing in Oromo officially. The school was in Oromo officially in 1992, which it was decided in 1991, and then 1992 was the first time students got education in Oromo. And then that was the time I wrote the stage play, and it was a kind of weird and weird, and then finally it was attached to politics and all kind of things.
There's so much. There's so much. We're going to take a break right now, okay, you guys? We're going to take a break. We're going to be right back, but we're getting into the real meat of this story. You've got to understand that what you live in the United States is not what Dhaba lived. Life was very different. We're going to be back in just a moment. Stay with us.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund Reading.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Information on hot water heating.
No. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out the words.
World music, playing track now.
No.
Let me try. Our daughter gets confused about which details in a story are important.
Which paper towels are most absorbent?
What?
Here are 5 product reviews.
Why are you not getting me?
See, I told you.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Fedin Sinjani.
Mal? Anybody? Gaddi suuca ko.
We are back. The story is getting really heavy because there is an understanding that you have to get. It isn't, and it wasn't at this time, back 1991, 92, the easiest thing in the world for a man to step out and become what God had given him to be, a playwright, to tell a story, something we take for granted here. Dhaba, go back to just where you were.
Yes.
It's 1991, 92.
Yes.
People had not seen what you have done. You're the first.
Yes.
I think it should have been celebrated. And I guess, as
Yes.
you said, some people were celebrating, but there's another group of people that weren't,
They didn't accept.
that can't accept it.
Yeah.
But an arrest,
Yeah.
incarceration, I don't understand.
You know, that immediately what was used, unfortunately, always when you come up with new thing, it is attached to politics. Politics so sensitive at that time, and they considered me as really opponent to the structure, and that I'm like a kind of rebel at that time. So
They were afraid of you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm there. I'm not, I didn't do anything. I'm not violent. I just write a stage play.
But you're telling a story.
I'm telling a story. I'm telling a story, which is the truth, you know. And then it was considered. I was kidnapped from my house, and my house was circled like I'm a war general, and, you know, the soldiers surrounded my house and took me and put me in a secret jail. And then you start asking me, what have you done, and what did you write, and this all kind of things. And I said, you know, I wrote what I wrote. It's out there on the stage, and, you know, nothing I did, and this is the story. And then later I was released, and I kept doing that. After that, I wrote 4 more stage plays. I published books. And the thing is, the momentum started going down. Calmer, and even people who used to look at me as very strange person in theaters and outside started approaching me and asking me, can we come to see you? You know, we can't speak Oromo, but can we come to the play? And I said, yeah, we will do the summary of the plays, and we'll give you with the ticket, and when you go and when you watch the visual, you can see what is going on. And that's what I did, and even people who speak Amharic came to the hall, and you know, at a certain point, they start accepting it. Even play directors and known playwrights came over to the place and start watching the plays. And I said, wow, this is the power of a story. This, if I keep on doing that, people start accepting it, so that people start enjoying each other's story. That's what motivated me so far, what moved me to this point. And
to do
Sanscribe
Foundation.
Exactly.
So now you're training,
raising
up young people who want to be filmmakers, who want to tell stories. And they're telling all kinds of stories.
Exactly. It can be anything. It can be Oromo, it can be Oromo, it can be any Ethiopian story. People from various backgrounds, young people. But I'm just trying to give them the opportunity that they can tell their story in a professional way, in a polished, professional way. You know, they have to learn the craft to tell the story effectively.
Yes.
And also, my other interest in the story itself, I'm focusing on positive stories, on positively wired stories that encourage people. That, you know, love for me is, since I'm Christian and I'm the follower of Jesus Christ, my center is love, and I want to create love. I want to contribute to creating love, so people would listen to each other's story, have that passion of recognizing each other, listening to each other, and, you know, eventually that I believe that would lead to love.
You know, what's so wonderful is that you show no damage from being incarcerated, from being treated that way.
Yeah.
You actually have attached yourself to the idea that the people who grabbed a hold of what you were doing in your writing
Right.
were the people to concentrate on. Yeah. Then that energy you transferred to starting Sanscribe Foundation.
Yes.
And you allow people to tell their story.
Yes.
But there's one criteria.
Yes.
In love.
Yes.
Joyful, positive stories.
Exactly. That's my center. That what I always believe, that what always encouraged me, that what wakes me up from my sleep.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
That's encouraging to me. Now, you get to the United States.
Yes.
And you are gravitating towards people who are also filmmakers.
Yes.
Who have an understanding
Exactly.
of what you're attempting to do in Ethiopia.
Yes.
Has it been difficult? Has it been just the easiest thing in the land? How's it been?
It's a challenge, it's a new venture, and what I'm trying to do, I just wanted to a bridgeway. I went to Howard University, I got my degrees, and with honors and all that, I did my films, I was successful, and I said, at the end, I said, so then what?
What?
Then what?
Yeah.
Just making films, and just try to sell my films, and then if my ages are short, if I pass, who would give this opportunity for the young people in Ethiopia? And I said, it's good to tell my story, but I better help some more people to tell their story. So I start telling my friends, around Howard University, and also, at every walk of life, I just say, I'm trying to help young people to tell their story to Ethiopians and also to the world. So please help me. Let's do something. Let's bring this to reality.
And let's do it together.
Let's do it together.
We're going to come back and talk about that further, because I want to know some of the stories of the young people that you're dealing with.
Yes.
Because I know some stuff you don't know, and it's pretty cool. We'll be back in a minute. Just hang tight.
Yeah. Thank you.
Will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Sitti menjira. Dhageessa. Yoo ati yaadeen naa kennite, kanaaf wada jireenyi kan hundumtu hin jijjiiramu. Waan gaarii filatte. Jireenya haaraas hin jiraatta.
Nadhiisi. Ani rumuun barbaadu. Ani siin barbaadu.
Kanaa booda gooftaa koo itti jiraatta. Harka koo irra jirta.
Lakki. Ani harka Waaqayyoo keessa hin jira. Maal Waaqayyoo ishee. Natti siqin.
Naajjeessuuf barbaadda. Kiristaanaan kiristaanummaan kee maaliree? Atis tokkuma jechuudha.
Lakki.
We're back with Dhaba Wayessa, and the Sandscribe Foundation. It's such an interesting story because now we're at the point where we're talking about the young people that you mentor, you help raise up in the film industry. And they've got some great stories in themselves. So I wanted to come to this place. Will you tell us just a little bit about the success stories? I've seen some wonderful pieces
Yes.
that your folks have produced, but just give us a couple of stories.
Many of them, and what happened was in 2011, we started online screenwriting program, which we collected young people from universities, from college, from the street, from anywhere. Like some are college graduates, some are high schools, and then they start learning, structure of story, how to put together the story structure and how to create character and this all kind of that. Online, start writing, and then we made them compete. And in the meantime, I traveled to California through a friend I met with, a person called Guy Moon. This is, he worked for Nickelodeon. He's one of the famous film music composer. And it happened, I met with him, and then he organized a group of filmmakers to travel to Ethiopia. And then I have to find, he told me, now we need a story. When we go, we need a story. And I said, I'm not going to write a story. The students will write the story. I'm not going to write. And I I created a competition. The students competed. One of the young girls in Ethiopia, she was not a writer before, but she was in our school, and she competed. She won. I translated that into English. And then when the team of 7 people went to Ethiopia to make a film, we made a short film, which you saw,
yes.
In the Yadani, a short film. And that was written by a young girl who didn't write anything before.
It's so awesome.
And she wrote. And that's one success story. And the other person, his name is Kalbesa Magarsa, and now he wrote an 80-episode TV drama. Now the production is on air in Ethiopia, and he's our student. And the other is Mickey, and Mickey just won an award in Ethiopia for short film. And there are, I can name a lot of them.
That is, it's so exciting because, again, we go back to your story, then to theirs, and what you've poured into them is extraordinary. It's not every day that anyone, young or old, has someone come into their life and pour into them exactly what is inside of them. So what you did was kind of like you poured water on a seed.
That's
and
very
it just
rewarding.
Burst out with what you had for
That's
them.
very rewarding. I don't know. I don't even know how to express that. That when I see that, when I say, wow, how blessed I am.
Yes.
That I can do this. That I can impact. That I can, create the idea, and then all friends collaborated, and we made this happen, and it's happening. And this story will change the people's heart in the future. That's what I'm hoping in Ethiopia. And instead of fighting, instead of all conflicts, stories will create peace and love in the country. That's my objective.
I have to tell you something very funny. And I am born and raised right here in the United States, and you know this.
Yes.
And every time I meet someone from Ethiopia, they say, there's Ethiopian in your family. And I always laugh. So now I met my Ethiopian family.
Yes.
You and your family.
Yes, definitely. And when I first saw you, you just look like,
It tickles me every time. I love
it. It's amazing,
Dhaba, thank you so much, my brother.
Yes, my sister. You are very welcome. And I think we have long to go.
Yes, we do. We do.
Yes.
This is only the beginning, you guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. I have, and we'll continue on, and there'll be more stories to tell. This is the place where real creativity, blessed by God, gets to burst out. When 2 people come together, when 2 organizations come together, when many organizations come together under one understanding that it's only about releasing onto the earth, the atmosphere, what God has for you. It's just good stuff. I hope you've enjoyed it. I have. Thank you so much. God bless.
First of all, I would like to thank you, Sundescribes Communication PLC, for giving us this huge opportunity by 3 reasons. The first reason is we didn't pay anything, but we get lots of things. We have engaged into different African movies. We have seen their culture, we have seen their outfits, we have seen their cinematic aspect to the international world. The second reason is, as a filmmaker, I'm inspired by African movies. So Sundescribes Communications, in collaboration with Wagner University, they have given me a lot of things. Starting from Osman Sunday Black Girl to the last film that we have seen, Nairobi Half-Life, I have seen different directing tips, screenplay writing tips, editing and camera movements. So for me it is a huge opportunity to see these films and showing my culture for the international world. So I'm really inspired by this situation, so I can make lots of movies that inspire all filmmakers and showing African movement, African distinct film style to the world. The third reason is filmmaking by itself, it requires 2 things. The first one is it requires a gift, and the second one is it requires a proper education. Sundescribes gives us 4 things. The first one is screenplay writing, the second one is directing, the third one is camera operating, and the fourth one is editing. So I have gotten these 4 things without paying anything. So I really need to thank Sundescribes Communications, all members, those who live in Addis Ababa and in USA. We really need to thank them from the bottom of our heart for giving us this huge opportunity. God bless you.